Before we kick off this week's episode, I want you guys to know we just launched some awesome new merch. Head over to countrysideworkshop.com/shop, and there you'll see a limited pre-sale Woodshop 101 podcast trucker style hat with a leather patch that's been burned with our logo in it. Each box will possibly come with something extra, some little goodies in it for you. But again, this is only a limited time pre-sale, so go get yourselves a hat. You have until about the 11th before we close the pre-sale and we order the hats. This would be awesome to see all these guys and gals wearing them around Workbench Con at the end of the month. So go pick yourselves up one, get some extra goodies, and support the podcast. Thank you.
Hi, Jeremy, Drew, and Sam. This is Carl at Bear Creek Woodworking. I'd like to take this opportunity to wish all three of you a very happy holiday season with your family and friends. I'd also like to congratulate you on an amazing 2018 year here at Woodshop 101 Podcast. I enjoy how all three of you have joined your talents and your personalities together to make this a very fun and informative place for woodworkers to come, relax, listen, and learn about the craft that we enjoy together. I have also noticed and appreciated that in this past year, all three of you has branched out into the woodworking community as individuals also. And I feel that this just makes the whole woodworking community grow and expand just that much more. I like the quote, "All ships rise with the tide," and I feel that all three of you have done that in this past year, both as individuals and also as podcast members. I'm very excited to see what 2019 has in store for each one of you as individual woodworkers and also as team members here at Woodshop 101 Podcast. So I'd just like to say once again, happy holidays to you and to all of your listeners here at the podcast. Keep up the great work. And 1, 2, 3, boom!
We all didn't shower for 2 weeks, or a week.
Showered. My hair hasn't moved either.
Hey guys, welcome to Woodshop 101. This is episode number 147 for February 4th, 2019. Today we're going to talk about overcoming hurdles. I'm Drew Short of the Rockin' H Woodshop, and I am joined today by my co-host Sam Wooddell of SamRyan Designs, and Jeremy Crawford of the Countryside Workshop, and our guest host, Charlee from Buildandcreatehome. Welcome back, Charlee. How's everybody going tonight?
Yay! Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, thank you. I'm wearing the same clothes I did last week. You notice?
I know. We all didn't shower for 2 weeks, or a week.
Showered. My hair hasn't moved either.
Yeah.
Mine hadn't either.
What do you use?
I know. Dry shampoo and hairspray.
Yeah, dry shampoo and I don't move. That's basically, that's like, I was asking people to caption that dog thing, and somebody was like, "Mom, you just ruined my curls. I had Jet set them perfectly." And that just reminded me. Sorry, I had to add that in there.
It's all right. So before we go any further, we want to thank our patrons, John Ramminger, Sean McHenry, Carl Mose, Neil Sims, Eric Rhoten, and Jeb Braswell. Thank you guys very much for being a part of the show. We thank you greatly to keep the lights on here. If you want to become a patron of our Patreon campaign, then just head on over to patreon.com/woodshop101. All our patrons receive an after show twice a month as a benefit, and you can also support the show by purchasing some podcast swag. Just go to countrysideworkshop.com/shop for that link. While you're at it, go ahead and leave us a 5-star rating on the podcast player of your choice, and we'll be able to give those comments right here on air. So we really have a topic that came from iTunes, and looks like it came from Skimmy310 or 310. He says, "I love catching this podcast on the road home from weekend shows. It's great to listen and get some motivation for the new week. But I do have a question. What was the biggest hurdle you had when you first realized woodworking was going to be your life? Have a great week, everyone." So that is a good question.
That is.
Anybody got an answer to that one?
Who wants to chime in first?
Not
Well, okay, I will. So I don't think there was ever one moment when I decided it was going to be my life. It just kind of has built up slowly over time from a hobby, something I wanted to try out and dabble with, to building slowly for my house. And then clients started coming to me and asking me for stuff. And then one day my schedule was just full. And by the time I got to my schedule is full point, my biggest hurdle was I can't pace myself. So learning how to pace myself and schedule out projects was a really big hurdle for me to try to overcome, because I'd say, oh yeah, that'll maybe take me a week. I can finish that in a couple days. And I was booked out 3 months. And then I finally was like, I can't take any more orders. I need to just stop taking orders, adding orders on the end of that. And it ended up taking me a month longer to finish all of those orders. And I was just so burned out after doing that. But I learned how to kind of pace myself a little bit better, and how, okay, this project's going to take about this long, include emergency family things that are going to come up. Someone's going to get sick. I'm going to get sick. I need to take these breaks and make these buffers in my schedule. So scheduling's been a big hurdle for me.
So
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with you there, because my woodworking career actually just kind of started all of a sudden. Now, I did woodworking from like 2000, basically when I was a teenager. I've done this for like 25 years, but I didn't start making it a business until around 2006, but I didn't really push it that hard until pretty recently. It was actually February of last year when I quit my job. And that was a huge hurdle, was making that leap to decide I'm not going to have this steady income anymore. I'm actually leaving that and going to hustle everything. And it was a big scary thing to think about, because I had a family, I have a mortgage, I've got health insurance to pay for, I've got liability insurance to pay for. I mean, it's a big step. It's not something to take on lightly at all. And doing the scheduling and treating a hobby that most people would have, it's kind of a hobby / business, turning it into a full-fledged business and not going back to that hobby mindset is a big hurdle to overcome. It takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
I
I would say scheduling is hard. I feel like it's hard all around, especially if you have, like Drew, you're now full-time, so you have to make sure you're making, getting it done quickly and whatnot. And Charlie, you have kids too, and you have to fulfill all those orders. That's hard. It's hard. So I feel like scheduling is a hurdle, whether you're full-time, part-time, anything. Scheduling is really hard. So.
Yeah. You could really go so many ways with this, right? We're hitting on like the business aspect of it. And I would say for the business aspect of it for me is competition. Like, everybody says, oh, we're in this together. Like nobody's competing against anybody. You really are. If you're doing this as a business, you're competing against other businesses to win that client, to win their business, because you're hoping to have that repeat business from them. And at least I've really started noticing it more in the area I live in now, the hard competition, because people will like, hey, I want this table, whatever, I want it this long, I want it to extend, I want the extension table, all this, bells and whistles, right? You quote them, let's say below ballpark figure, $1,200, and they're like, whoa, wait a second, I saw so-and-so on Facebook Marketplace selling tables for $200 or $350, which happens here. In fact, I found them as low as $150, and I had that conversation with both of you several months ago or longer about somebody posting on Facebook Marketplace that they're building 8-foot tables for $150. Like, dude, you're not even covering your material. But like, that's been the biggest hurdle for me is how do I provide the best experience to a potential client to win their business when my prices are double, triple, quadruple what they're seeing somebody else's? How do I get them to understand that, like, hey, when you pay for that $150 table, you're paying for $150 worth of work. Not saying that table is going to fall apart tomorrow or next year or 5 years from now, but at the same token, like, you can't really expect that table to last, to hand down to your kids or your grandkids. Like, I think that's, and I'm still trying to figure that out, right? That's still a constant. Okay, I did this with this client. Let me kind of change it. I don't really feel comfortable how I did that. Let's change it for the next client that comes in, right? So it's all about those client relations. I think that's, like, on the business side, that's my biggest hurdle.
My advice to that is you don't want those customers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I was thinking here too.
I was just thinking that too.
You go up a little bit and you meet somewhere in the middle, they're going to be awful customers.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, those ones that are trying to lowball you, if you come to their level, they're just going to drag you around. And
Yep.
I don't want those. Anyway.
And they're the ones that will add stuff like your drawers and not want to pay for that.
Yeah, I definitely miss my clientele from Texas. I mean, like, it was, here's what it is. And they're like, all right, cool. When you want to get started, boom, let's get going. Like, there was never any pushback, and it all started because I just reached out to help a lady, and then she ended up, like, placing an order every month for something different. Like, awesome, and so I really miss that aspect of it. But it is like, literally everybody here, every time you turn around, there's somebody on Facebook Marketplace, $100, $200. Like, dude, and you try to message them. I've tried to reach out to them, like, hey, like, charge $500 for this. Like, you could easily get that. And then they come back with some snooty comment. It's like, look, I'm just trying to give you some advice, because really, when, like, you're diluting that gene pool of woodworkers out there, it's almost an insult saying, like, don't go pay $2,000. Come pay $150. So, I know you really don't want those type of clients, but at the same token, when that, like, everybody's on Facebook, everybody's seeing that, it gets hard. They'll
learn. Get their $150 table,
mm-hmm.
and it will fall apart, or it will be warped boards, and food will be falling down the cracks, and they'll be like, "This is why." And
exactly.
Yes,
oh,
and I can totally say that then the clients will come to you, because I had this client, she paid $500 for a table and 2 benches, $500 off Etsy. She hates it. It's tacky. Everything sticks to it. And then all of the food, she has 4 kids, and all of the crumbs fall in between the cracks, and they stay there. She's tried everything to get them out.
Thanks.
Yeah, toothpicks,
if
anything,
the
knives, nothing, and they're
finish
stuck.
is still tacky that you're not going to. It's like you're dropping stuff on a glue trap.
Yeah, and it's bulky. It's super bulky. Like, she didn't realize how bulky it was until it entered her house, and it's definitely made out of construction lumber, which there's nothing wrong with that, because I've made a table out of construction lumber, but it just, like, was not made nicely, like, at all. So those clients will end up coming
and make it nice, right? You cut off the rounded edges.
Yeah.
If they want to see that plank look, well, then fine, cut off the rounded edges, and then you can route in some V grooves to give you that plank look. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely ways to mitigate it.
But I always recommend my clients don't do that look. Just because, especially if you have kids, don't do it. Just do it flat. You'll regret it.
Yeah.
And those clients that really like that rough sawn look for a table, those are horrible to clean.
Yeah.
Horrible to clean.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I always kind of like, no, I know it looks nice, but you just try and eat off of it and then clean it one time, and your wash rag is just like sticking to everything.
And
I have built tables both ways, and so I have pictures of both, and I'll send them both to customers, and I'm like, if you want it this way, sure, I will do it for cheaper. But if you want it to look nicer and you don't want this to happen, I'm warning you, this is what you're paying for.
Yeah.
Cheaper version. That's fine. I'll do it for you. But you get what you pay.
Yeah.
Definitely. And my Home Depot has this really amazing lumber, which I found out that not all Home Depots have it. But I'm pretty sure you can ask Home Depot to order it for you, and they can have it shipped to that store. But it's like 5 quarters. So it's like around, it measures 1 1/8, this stuff, but it's called 5 quarters. And then it's great. I mean, it's super straight. I mean, it's very soft. It's pine. It's super soft. It's what I made my coffee table out of that I'm finishing up. But it's amazing. So, I mean, it is a little more expensive than the construction lumber. It stains nice. I mean, it's beautiful. So I always give my clients like a cheaper cost with pine, and then I do like a middle something with oak. And if oak is too expensive but they like that look, then I'll go down to like ash and then walnut. So I give my client multiple options. And I will say, I know we're totally going off topic, but this is something new that I'm doing, is I'm bringing a sample of each of those pieces, like a piece of pine and a piece of white oak and a piece of walnut with me to show my client the difference. Because when I say stuff like that, they like get really confused. It goes right over their head. So I'm bringing it to them and now physically showing them what it looks like and whatnot. So I recommend doing that.
Yeah.
Off topic.
No, it is good. I would say like that the hurdle that I still struggle with, and I know just in today's technology age, it is the comparison, right? It's like you want to build this table, right? So where do you naturally go? You naturally go to the internet to search it, right? YouTube to figure out how to make it, whatever. And you start comparing yourself. You're like, well, man, I can't do that because X, Y, and Z has the tools that he built it with. Like I can't do that because I don't have that bandsaw, or I can't do that because my table saw is too small or whatever. Like you get into that mindset of like you can't do something because the person that like you're watching build it that you want to replicate built it a certain way. Like that's the figuring it out type of hurdle is I get in that mindset all the time. Like when I see it, I'm like, man, I really like I get so drawn on like, hey, I want that tool or I need that tool that like I don't take a step back and say, okay, hang on, let me figure out how to do this without that. And I think a lot of people get into that just because it's natural, right? They go to YouTube, they see some, if they honestly have no idea how to build it, and they see somebody build it from start to finish with this set of tools, that's naturally what they think, hey, I have to build this with those tools. Like that's what it's going to take, right? Instead of figuring it out. Like you don't necessarily need that. So I think that's a big hurdle, and a lot of people probably struggle with that one.
Yeah, especially when you got to work in a bunch of Festool stuff into your contract, because the dude that you watched on YouTube had a whole bunch of Festool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need this, and I need this, and I need this. Yeah.
Like,
he had all this green stuff. I got to have it.
I know.
What's that extra $600 there? That's for that track saw that I need to do this.
It's a bandsaw box. I know, really?
So
no, I would think another big hurdle too is trying to stay on task, because my like Sam said, because I do this full time, I have to get it done in a timely manner. And if I take just one day off, not in the shop, it really throws me behind. And I've got this gentleman now, this CBD oil shop check-in and out station I'm working on. It's a paid in full. And
that's awesome, but not at the end.
Yeah,
it is, but it is because the way I've been working now. I mean, I get a deposit and I'm doing all this work, and then I'm expecting a paycheck at the end. Not so much this time, because he's paid it all in full. So I've been doing all this work. I'll deliver it, and I get nothing. So
I know
it isn't quite there.
Yeah, the motivation to get paid after it's done. really keeps me on task. But when I'm sitting here thinking, I'm doing all this work and I'm getting nothing at the end of it because he's already given me everything, and my liability insurance came out, my health insurance came out, all that stuff's gone.
Yep, that's how this barn door client was. Like when he came to the house, he was like, "Here's your check," and I look at him like, "Oh, you just paid in full. Like, awesome, I got this money." But yet, then again, when I get done, I don't get a paycheck.
Right.
Yeah. I do not like in full.
Great.
At all. I hate it, actually. I'll be like, keep your money, pay me at the end. But then I would never do that because then what if I don't get paid?
Exactly.
Yeah, you get done and then he holds the money. Like, oh, that's all.
The rule is half.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or then like this client's like, "Look, I don't need a receipt. I'm paying you under the table." I'm like, I can't really do that because I got to have income to offset like the expenses in the shop. Like, I can't just say, "Oh, I spent $5,000 this year on material, but I made $75."
Yeah.
No, you can't. It's like, I can't really take it under the table. Like, but I'll let you think I'm doing that to save face for you, but I can't do that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
That's nice of you.
All right, well, that was a good topic, and like I said, that came from iTunes. So we can get our topics from anywhere. If you guys are active on Instagram and you see us do a story, we ask you to ask us questions. Feel free to drop us something simple in there because we can talk about just about anything on this show. And you'd be surprised what kind of insight that we get from not only the three of us from the podcast, but our guest host that we have as well, just about every other week. So do we have anything more that we want to add to this before we call it a wrap?
No, I think it's pretty good.
No, I think that's good.
Okay. Well, Charlie, again, thank you for being on the show with us. I know I'm going to have to ask you this one more time, but go ahead and give people some contact info.
Yep, I'm most active on Instagram, Buildandcreatehome. I'm also on Facebook. My Facebook page gets neglected sometimes, but it's also Buildandcreatehome, or email buildandcreatehome@gmail.com.
And if you guys haven't followed her yet, you definitely need to go do that. She has a lot of awesome things that she posts on a daily basis, and she is a great person inside and out. So thank you again, Charlie, for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
So Jeremy, Sam, and myself, we each have contact information, countrysideworkshop.com, SamRyanDesigns.com, and rhwoodshop.com. Our contact information is there. All our social media, we're pretty active on Instagram, all three of us. And you can find us on Facebook at times as well. Jeremy loves Twitter, so you can tweet Jeremy.
I don't even know if I have.
Tweet the twit.
I don't even know if I have Twitter anymore.
It sounded like you almost said something else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say it, though.
But if you want to get in contact with the podcast, you can email us at kickback@woodshop101podcast.com. Don't forget about the voice memo app and the voicemail phone number that we have. You can use your voice memo app and send it to us by email, or you can call direct at 409-234-3959. The podcast is also on Instagram, so if you have questions or feedback that you want to give us, catch a link for the episode that we're recently posting. We're pretty active there. So, again, thank you, Charlie, for being on here. We want to wish you guys well. Please be safe in your shops. Remember to be kind to one another. Keep smiling and have fun. 1, 2, 3.
Boom.
I like the be kind.
If you're listening to this, you've listened all the way through the end of the show. And if you still want to pick up a hat, go to countrysideworkshop.com/shop, find the hat, put it in your cart, enter the promo code SHIPMYHAT, all one word, all caps, and that will give you free shipping on your order.